Hello, everybody. We will start with that round table. At least think about it, it's round. We have a rather limited time. The whole session will be 90 minutes, but we will leave some space for discussion at the end of that. So I think the discussion between us should be limited to 70 minutes, something like that. The topic is, as you already know, the two Polanyis, Kari and Karl. We will have somebody here at the screen. You already can see them. We have at the left Attila Melegh, the founding director of the Karl Polanyi Center for Global Social Studies between 2013 and 2022. We have at the center here of our screen Brigitte Aulenbacher, professor of sociology and social analysis at the Johannes Kepler University, Linz, and the vice president of the International Karl Polanyi Society, Vienna. And we have at the right hand, Michele Brie, the chairman of the Scientific Advisory Board of the Rosa Luxemburg Foundation, Berlin. And we have Michele Cangiani. He is, or better, he was, professor in Venice. And we have, last but not least, Margie. I think I do not have to say anything about her because everybody knows her. So our main argument during our discussion will be, on the one hand, Kari's contributions to the renaissance of Karl Polanyi, to the renewed interest of Karl Polanyi's work, and the common ground of the research of both. So we mentioned something already in the morning, but there are a lot of other aspects that can be discussed and understood here. So this morning, we have discussed about Kari's first career in the academic field, her career as a development economist, her influence on the discussions in Canada, in the Caribbean, and on economic sciences as such, political economy, development economics, and so on. That's important, and we should never forget that that is really the basis of her work. Nevertheless, when her father died in 1964, something as a second scientific career began. For the greater part of her life, she has also engaged directly with the work of her father, Karl Polanyi. The two lines of intellectual biography were intertwined for the rest of her life. Now, before we go more in detail with some aspects, I would propose to share a few thoughts about the two Polanyis as we have encountered them all. I may follow the list of the invitation, and then it would be you, Margie, to say the first words about that. And then we will continue with Attila, with Michele, and Brigitte.
Thank you, Claus. We asked everyone to be very disciplined, and so I will be very disciplined. And the only way I can do that is if I have I've written some notes so that I stay within the limits of the 3 to 5 minutes that we've been given, each of us. Can you hear me now, Kari? Is it okay? Okay. So my contribution to this roundtable on the two Polanyis, I think, is not news really to most of you who are in this room. I have written and spoken about how Kari and I began our collaboration on the work of her father, Karl Polanyi, in the early 1980s, after I completed my doctorate in economics at McGill. My dissertation was inspired by the work of Polanyi, indeed by the Great Transformation, but even more so by trade and markets in the early empires. Since Polanyi's writings were not on any syllabus in graduate studies in economics, I discovered these works on my own, and I was really unaware at that time that Kari was Karl Polanyi's daughter. Her teaching and writing, as we heard this morning, were on economic development, on political economy, on economic development, on political economy. Her work on Canadian political economy was well known. I had been exposed to this as an undergraduate, and it was highly influential in debates on foreign ownership and Canadian politics in Canada, as we learned earlier today. When I began my research for my dissertation, Kari discovered my interest in her father's work, as well as my Hungarian heritage and my Hungarian language, both of which were key to our collaboration over the next 40 years. When Kari's mother, Ilona Duchinska, died in 1978, Kari inherited the literary legacy of both of her parents. It was in 1984 that she invited me to work with her on organizing her father's papers. Her mother had already begun this work much earlier, but it was not yet in the form of a formal archive. A postdoctoral fellowship permitted me to work full-time with Kari on this extraordinary project, which I believe has been formative to our intellectual lives, our friendship, and our collaboration since. And we were very fortunate to have the help of a McGill archivist on a voluntary basis, since neither of us had any experience in creating an archive, and neither of us were historians. Those 2 years from 1984 to 1986 led up to the Karl Polanyi centenary in 1986 and an international conference on his life and work, which was organized by the Hungarian Academy of Sciences in Budapest with our collaboration. The rest is history, as they say, but perhaps I can share a little more detail with you. Prior to the Budapest conference, Kari and I worked on a collection. Kari and I worked on a collection of essays, previously published and unpublished work by her father in English, German, and Hungarian. English and German texts were translated into Hungarian and published as a collection. Fascism, Democracy, and Industrial Civilization was edited by myself and Kari and published by the Hungarian Academy of Sciences in honor of Polanyi's centenary. We wrote a very lengthy introductory essay, Karl Polanyi, His Life and His Times, which was subsequently published in several journals and in several languages. When we returned home from Budapest, one of my colleagues here at Concordia urged me to invite Kari to meet with the Dean of Arts and Science at the time, Charles Bertrand, a progressive historian, to let him know about the Polanyi Archive project. Dean Bertrand suggested that we consider creating a Polanyi Institute with the archive as its centerpiece. Kari enthusiastically accepted this invitation, but with the very strong proviso that the Institute not only house the archive, but that it would become a space for intellectual dialogue on the challenges of contemporary society and the important influence of Karl Polanyi in comprehending our times. She also insisted that the archive remain at the Institute and be accessible to those wishing to consult the collection. She wanted it to be, as she called it, a living archive. Her wish was that her father's work be the basis for ongoing discussion with young scholars, students, researchers wishing to explore the rich archive. This was the late 1980s. The Institute was created in 1988. Its mission, and I quote, was, and I quote, this was written in 1988, to preserve the intellectual legacy of Karl Polanyi and to contribute to research and policy debates on new development strategies locally and internationally, and on the new or reformed international institutions required for the global order. And so began the last 35 years of Polanyi-inspired dialogue, 15 international conferences held here and abroad, numerous publications, seminars, public lectures. Today, these include webinars, of course. From the outset, Kari's commitment was to make the work of Karl Polanyi as widely available as possible. I believe we really achieved this when we created the digital archive that houses more than 100,000 pages of Polanyi's writings, including correspondence, memorabilia, notes, unpublished notes, articles, and so on. All of these easily accessible. The two Polanyis, Kari and Karl, are embodied, or should I say embedded, in all the work of the Institute. Kari has contributed extensively to Polanyi scholarship, as we know, to the renaissance of his work. She has published numerous articles on the work of her father, on his relevance for a better understanding of contemporary society, on the resonance of his writings with the issues of our times. She has generously, all these years, met with students and faculty, sharing personal family history and her invaluable insights on her father's work. I could go on. Many of you know the work of the Institute. It is really thanks to Kari that we have been able to continue this work, do this work, and we continue to do so. And I should tell you that as we celebrate her 100th birthday, she and I are already talking about the theme for the next international conference. She will be very involved, as she always has been, in choosing themes and suggesting those that we should invite. Kari, thank you for 35 years of the Institute, for 50 plus years of mentorship, friendship. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Margie, for that introduction and the role that Kari played in the building up of the Institute here in Montreal. But that's not the only institute which she helped to create. The other institute, the next institute, is the institute in Budapest. And here we have Attila, and he will tell us a little bit about the institute itself, about how it was built up, and the role of Kari in the whole process. Please.
So, welcome everybody, and welcome from the Hungarian countryside, where I'm taking care of my mother, who is sending her best regards to you, Kari, very importantly. Now, I think Hungary and the Hungarian countryside has been very important for the Polanyi family. They have never ever left it for a single moment, and this is what we feel. Now, preparing for this, I was not preparing to talk about our center, so much inspired by Kari, but I was trying to think about why both Kari, Karl, and as Andrew very nicely put it, Ilona, are so important to us. So let me follow Margie a little bit, because I also had to write it down. I could not stop then writing down my few thoughts concerning this topic. So let me start. First of all, Kari is always very eloquent and crystal clear. He talks and builds up arguments always to the point, whether we talk about economic ideas or economic and social processes. Partially, this is because she is having a firm understanding of Karl Polanyi's ideas. Her great insights are related to the Polanyian understanding of the neoliberal turn in the 1980s and its consequences. She is speaking a fluent critical language. Generations of Polanyis help us. She and her father and her mother are revolutionaries not for a utopia, but for conserving and saving humanity from its run toward the abyss. In their view, capital is too radical and not us raising concerns. They have not chosen this path from an ideological hobby. They do, as Kari once says so nicely, out of responsibility. What a key word. This is a term requiring reciprocity between the individual and the community in the context of responsible freedom, in the context of responsible freedom. This is not identity politics, once again stressed by Kari herself. She's very aware of different identity perspectives as she takes a post-colonial and Caribbean perspective in her analysis. But Kari's and Karl's perspective is more than any group identity framework and its dignity. In some way, this is not identity politics at all. Responsibility is the most rational human endeavor, rational discussion for rational outcome. The perspectives of the two Polanyis have a common Greek faith of feeling, thinking, and acting in responsibility. They are critical because they see individual and collective, I'm saying not communal irresponsibility, in a capitalist system which came into existence of exploitative processes, historical accidents, irresponsible state intervention, and very importantly, a great contribution from Kari, colonialism. The Polanyis fight with ideas of the institutional frameworks which feed any outcome in our continuous societal interaction with nature. I'm so happy that I could listen and work with Kari in building up this center as well, when I could follow her perspectives of the world. Behind her great intellectual questions, I could always feel this very concrete and very specific concern for all of us, and even small groups, societies like the Hungarian. I recall her calling me on phone, and when she asked why Hungary is turning to crazy nationalism. She, of course, knew the answer. She just wanted to express her concern and worry. Thanks. Kari, your words guide me day by day. With this perspective, we would not praise any kind of a war or discussion on earth. I think this is why Kari has chosen developmental economics as a key discipline. This is not the science of arrogant, deductive neoclassical economics, but a humble work of combining relevant theories and practices in order to regain developmental capabilities lost in capitalism. I'm not sure if I recall it well. Karl, Kari's father, was not too happy about this choice. He asked, according to Kari, what development was. But what else is possible than developmental economics if we give back agency to society and not just the individual, as we learn it from the two Polanyis? Kari, I think your choice was perfect. And honestly, when I listen to your talks on the history of ideas from this angle, it always rings a bell. It reminds me what my country and my Karl Marx University of Economics have lost in the irrational and maniac quest for further marketization. I am not denying that we had market fundamentalists here, always vivid in Central Europe, as Kari warned us a couple of years ago in her Budapest lecture. But we also had our developmentalists, economic historians, and historical sociologists still in the 1980s, when Hungary and the Hungarian society still wanted to contribute to real and stable social development, namely a Polanyian mixed economy. But we have chosen irresponsibility instead of careful suggestion for well thought out developmental paths. I recall the diary of Günther Frank, who in 1990 flew directly to Budapest to tell local people like the third world expert Simai what not to give up in order to keep some developmental capabilities. Kari would have said the same, and actually she stressed similar things in 1986 when socialism was still maintained and she visited the country. All advice were ignored, and this is why we ended up in one of the most foreign direct investment-driven economy on earth, with fully fledged authoritarian nationalism. Thanks. We can just wonder about how Karl Polanyi's great piece, Universal Capitalism or Regional Planning, could be ignored. As an answer, we need to work on this and we need to reformulate these ideas on institutions, and we have to work, as we are working here in Budapest as well, toward the non-capitalist mixed economy and its models. This leads to my last point, and I still hope that I have a little bit of time to tell this. This leads us to our next point, to one of the most important issues Kari raised in her excellent book with the title From Great Transformation to Great Financialization, and which is not, and her warning is not fully understood even today, I am afraid. This is, I'm quoting her. The suggestion here is that we may again be moving toward the world of major regional blocs as an alternative to a multilateral system dominated by global capital. It concludes with a challenge for a different economic calculus with values, goods, and especially services, not by market prices of supply and demand, but by the social value according to them by the citizens of a genuinely democratic society. What we are experiencing today, as Kari also stresses, the decline of US-led global capitalism, in all terminology, some form of ultra-imperialism, in case we listen to Kautsky, and the rise of some new blocs, partially in the South. This, in theory, is a positive outcome and opens up possibilities, but very important, with very important conditions, as Kari rightly points out. First of all, this regionalism has to show ways out of the capitalist imperialist system of the fight for positions according to the strengths of capital, and to point toward some non-capitalist future. At the moment, we don't see this at all. This has twist, of course. Nobody can deny the key problem was the monolithic US-led geopolitical order, not being able to handle any real societal issue beyond some force and retaking markets. But very importantly, the state-controlled capitalism of the non-West have done little. I'm not saying this little is nothing, I'm just saying not enough toward this new type of calculus and system, what Kari is talking about. And very importantly, not enough, listen very carefully, a genuinely democratic society, as Kari so nicely pointed out. So we need really new answers in our global era, more than any time. And I'm so glad that Kari is sitting with us and thinking with us on these issues. The two Polanyis, and very importantly, Kari is warning us, conflicts are coming and they are necessary with extreme marketization. But we need to see how reactions and the joint historical process evolves. This is why we need to keep our eyes wide open, and this is why we need to carry on together with Kari this burden of responsibility. Happy birthday to you, Kari. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Attila. And now we will come to Michael Brie. Michael Brie knows Kari and Karl very well. He has published a lot of books on Karl Polanyi. He is co-editor of the German edition of Kari's book From the Great Transformation to the Great Financialization. And he has done interviews with Kari, interviews for hours about all the development from her experience in Red Vienna, the family life, the political thoughts, everything that can be found in the archive. So everybody who is interested in that can really do it. You need some time, but it's highly interesting. Okay, Micha, please.
Yeah, good evening. For me, at least, it's already evening. Happy birthday to you, Kari. Happy birthday. Herzlichen Glückwunsch zu deinem 100. Geburtstag. My heart is, of course, full, but time is running. And so I try to be very brief. And thank you, Claus, for your very kind words. My first encounter with Kari Polanyi had a prehistory. It was a dark evening in Berlin, and Nancy Fraser was given a lecture in an old factory brewery in Berlin, and she spoke about the triple movement. And at this lecture, Nancy Fraser used, or I would say misused, Karl Polanyi's ideas of the double movement. And she presented Karl Polanyi, I put it very simple. She put him more or less as an old-fashioned social democrat with more or less authoritarian attitudes and not much in favor of individual freedom. And when I read the works of your father, Kari, and I read the works of your father, and when I started to read the volumes edited by you, by Michele and Claus, about the works of Karl Polanyi before the Great Transformation, I realized that this is really a dummy of Karl Polanyi, total, as I called it, a Karl Polanyi light. Today, you were asked what is your home country, if I'm understanding you rightly, and you answered, I think, that socialism is your home country. In the last letter you have quoted quite often of your father to Rudolf Schlesinger, he was writing to Schlesinger, the heart of the feudal nation was privilege. The heart of the bourgeois nation was property. The heart of the socialist nation is a people, where collective existence is the enjoyment of a community culture. And he ended, I myself have never lived in such a society. So when I would be asked, what is the common ground between you and your father? I think it's nevertheless the deep engagement in a search process for a socialist society, for a deep socialist transformation. You wrote about this already in 1963 after the death of your father, that you wrote at this moment, also not a Marxist, he was much less a social democrat. Also a humanist, he was eminently a realist. You could tell the same about yourself, I think. And I think why it is important today, because again today we are at a moment of history where mankind and our nations we are living in have to make a choice, a real choice. We are facing an alternative. Either socialism, in the words of Karl Polanyi, as a combination of pluralist democracy, national independence, industrial culture and socialist order, or we will face a dark age of a new Cold War and not ending barbarism. And we have seen the tendencies becoming stronger and stronger in the last years. And I'm coming to an end. I'm very proud to be working for the Rosa Luxemburg Foundation. Rosa Luxemburg was an ideal for your mother. It was an ideal, I think, also for your father, because she was fighting for this alternative of a democratic, humanist, socialist society to avoid new ages of barbarism. Thank you very much. And happy birthday, Kari. Happy birthday. And I hope to visit you very soon, meeting and discussing with you again all the problems we are dealing with. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. I think Kari wanted to add something to that or to comment on that. So we should give her the chance to do that before we continue.
Yes, go ahead, Kari. Go ahead.
No.
Kari.
Yes, yes.
I would like to thank everybody for having arranged this wonderful celebration of my birthday. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Finalists and the organizers.
Thank you, Kari.
But every birthday, when I receive greetings, I feel the greetings should be due not even to my parents. I did nothing I just happened to be born 100 years ago. But it was my parents that have given me the gift of life. And it was my parents that gave me a very happy childhood in Red Vienna, which has influenced me throughout my whole life. So please remember, when you applaud my birthday, it is my parents you are applauding.
Right.
And wherever they are, they will hear it. And they shared the vision of a democratic human society, multinational, a coming together of all the nations of the world, of the peoples of the nations of the world. And that is possible now, thanks to the creation of the United Nations, which where so many former colonial countries have achieved political independence and membership as equals in this organization. So I greet and thank the organizers of the United Nations. They are hope for peace. Unlike NATO, which is a political, a military alliance of one of the powers that have assisted one side in the war in Ukraine. But they cannot bring us peace. They will bring us war, which is terribly destructive.
Thank you very much, Kari, for your comment here.
We can make more comments.
We will continue with Michele and Brigitte now, and then we will come back to you.
Okay.
Yes?
Okay.
Okay, Michele.
Yes, thank you. And happy birthday, Kari. We are all happy to be
You
here.
have to speak a bit louder.
I'm sorry. Happy to be here to celebrate your birthday today. This is a great thing, and this is a gift because allows us to remember our relationship, how important it has been in the past years to be in contact with you. What does your research so interesting to read so deep in your analysis about which this morning was a question. It was different from the field of your father, Karl, but I found a connection which is very important. Two connections. I take your last words about the present problem of the war and so on. And so the first connection is a great and intelligent attention to the present day situation. This is important. We cannot theorize in the sky and not on the earth where we live. The second is that also your analysis about the development, the global south, the power of the north, the subject of this morning, all this implies an insight into the historical dynamics of capitalism. This gives it is a deepness to this analysis, to your analysis. And this dynamics of capitalism, obviously, until our days, and neoliberal globalization first, then the current success of what you, Kari, call the great financialization. A success certainly not for the purposes of human well-being. Such insight is grounded on a general conception of the capitalist and market form of society.
ZDF heute live. Schön, dass ihr dabei seid. Ja, es gab neue russische Raketenangriffe heute Nacht, mehrere zuvor von 2000.
Mute him. Okay.
I'm sorry, I did not understand. What
No,
you
no.
said.
It's okay,
Nothing
Kari.
to do with
Nothing.
us.
It's okay.
Please continue.
So the fact that the insight of Kari's research is so interesting and important is that it is grounded on a general conception of the capitalist and market form of society. And here the connection is evident with an interpretation of her father's thought, an interpretation that I share with Kari. It is maybe a minority interpretation, and a minority interpretation, but this is important. The sense, it is this general vision and deep vision of what this mode of production is that allows a better and deeper analysis of the process of capitalist development, underdevelopment, domination, financialization, and so on. So now I just want to close because there is no time to. If I may only recall a personal memory. But before I want to say that I'm so grateful to Kari for she followed, supported, and inspired my work from the day when we met the first time, and this was in Milano in 1990 at one of the Polanyi conferences. And I remember that a certain we were talking during a coffee break, and she asked me about this famous sculpture by Michelangelo called the Pietà Rondanini, which is kept in the museum of the castle Sforza Castle in Milano, and when the breakfast, when the conference was about to resume, Kari told me, "Let's go." And after a short pause, to the castle, to the museum. And so we did. So we escaped and went to and remained astonished. It is an incredible statue of the mother of Jesus standing, who holds the body of her dead son by her arms. It is fantastic. This is I'm sorry for this person, but it was also maybe also a subject of this panel. I'm sorry. Maybe it's my voice. It is not. Well, okay.
He's talking about when you escaped from the Polanyi conference to go and see the sculpture by Michelangelo in Milan with Michele.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you recall?
Yes, I do recall.
Well, people were giving talks at the same time.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. that is
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Did you want to say
You in the English language is a plural word, so thank you all.
something? Yes, thank you. Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you very much. Now, last but not least, we come to Vienna. Vienna is the International Karl Polanyi Society, the newest of all the Polanyi institutions. And Brigitte is one of the persons which was from the beginning part of that process. And indeed, she will show us that Kari played a key role also in the building up of the International Karl Polanyi Society. Please, Brigitte.
Thank you very much. Could you please share my PowerPoint presentation, because I decided to show you some pictures and you have the presentation there.
Yes. 1 second. Whoops.
Yeah, yes, yes.
Yes, thank you very much. And please go to the next. So happy birthday, Kari, on behalf of the International Karl Polanyi Society. We are very happy to congratulate you by this way. And we want to inform the audience about the last few years. Of course, we are the youngest society, but we want to share some pictures, some impressions, and we hope that it's something new for all of you. So let us go to the next. It's a short overview over the activities I want to talk about. The next slide. Our motive, I want to talk about the bringing the two Polanyis back to Austria. And this is not possible by only going local. It's only possible by going global, by connecting Polanyi activities. And this also means building networks. And these are the events I want to talk about, but I don't want to go in detail. I want to give you some impressions of Kari's work in Austria. Number 4, please. Kari is the honorary president of our International Karl Polanyi Society, and we are very much learning and benefiting from her and under very different aspects. First of all, Kari for us is a kind of oral history of Karl Polanyi's works and life. She shares her impressions, her experiences, but also her knowledge and her interpretations of her father's work. And she can combine it. She can combine the personal experience with the interpretations, the everyday life impressions with the scientific work. And this is a very, very impressive resource of the Polanyi Society. Then we asked her, what's the question, the main question of the works of Karl Polanyi? And she answered, how can humankind survive the industrial civilization? And this has been a very inspiring answer for our work, and let us think about putting the economy in its place as the motive of the society. And most impressive in Kari's work is that she can combine her work on the legacy of Karl Polanyi with reading his works for today. And today means that we have a lot of crisis, ecological, economic, social, political crisis. And indeed, neoliberalism is not a solution, it's the problem. And we have to look for new visions of a democratic socialism. And that's what is discussed with Kari in different forms and is very inspiring for the society. The number 5, please. we started our work with a conference in 2017, and I mentioned this conference, and I want to mention the interview conducted by Michael Burroy. Michael Burroy interviewed Kari about her life, her father's life, her mother's life, her experience in Vienna, her international experiences. And this has been a very impressive moment of the whole conference. And this is the moment when we decided to bring the two Polanyis back to Austria. So this interview has been the starting point for us to think about this connection. The next slide, please, 6. Then Karin has been invited, and she has contributed a lot to the discussion in Vienna. First, she contributed from her own development studies, and her own development studies, we already have heard a lot of it, have been awarded by the city of Vienna with a scientific award as pioneer work in the analysis of a global economy. And I think that's right. Then next slide, the 7, please. Then she has initiated together with Michele, with Claus Thomasberger, with Andreas Novi, with me and some people more, the foundation of the International Karl Polanyi Society in Vienna. And she has talked about the past, the present, and the future. And we have reprinted her article, and you can read the whole foundation ceremony in a scientific manner. And her contribution was amazing in connecting indeed past, present, and future, and make it possible to think with Polanyi about our times. The next slide, please. Just to mention it, we already heard about it. It's a socialist vision she is presenting, and therefore we also presented the book edited by Michele, Brie and Claus Thomasberger on the founding conference, because it is important to have visions for another society in these very difficult, troubling times. Next slide.
Thank you, Brigitte.
So, and then we started with the international connection. So we, in the meantime, Attila, I hope you agree, and Marci, I hope you agree too, and Kari, you may agree, I hope so. We call it the Montreal-Budapest-Vienna connection, because we already have worked a lot together on different conferences, and we combine collaborating on and with Karl Polanyi's works, analyzing the contemporary market capitalism, market society, and seeking for visions for what we call in Austria a better future and the good life for all. And of course, the good life for all is not possible in neoliberalism, and it is not possible in this authoritarian shift and in these times of war and these geopolitical shifts. So let us take the next slide, please. So, and also the International Karl Society, Polanyi Society is traveling, and we have been traveling and visited Kari at Bennington when the Great Transformation has the birthday, the 75th birthday of the Great Transformation. And there we had the same situation that indeed Kari has shared a lot of ideas of her parents' work, of her father's work, combined with a vivid discussion about the future perspectives of our society. So after all this international traveling, then we go back to 12, we go local by bringing in Kari's perspectives. Kari's perspectives on development studies she has developed in her book From the Great Transformation to the Great Financialization, which has been translated in German and is vividly discussed around our society. And let us take the next slide, the 13. We decided not the 13th, please. We decided not only to go local to global, not only to be scientific, but also to go public. And this has stimulated a book on Karl Polanyi. Kari is the co-editor and the author, and you find the interview with Michael Brewer there. It is a book on Karl's and Kari's lives and works, and it reaches out to academic and non-academic audiences. This is very important because Karl Polanyi has been a public educator, a journalist, somebody who has reached out of science to non-academic audiences, as well as Kari do, and we try to do this as well. And the last slide. In the pandemic, of course, nobody could travel. We have been online on the Montreal conference, but what is the pandemic? The pandemic is the result of liberalism, neoliberalism, aggressive capitalism. And this also means that the notions of Karl Polanyi, as well as the notions of Kari, can be quoted at this time, and I take the one of Kari, the contradictions between the requirement of the capitalist economy for unlimited expansion and the requirement of people to live in mutually supportive relations cannot be resolved without the civilizational change to transform institutions governing economic life. This is a long-term process, but in the history of humanity, the past 2 centuries of industrial capitalism are a moment. And I think that's a very good conclusion with Kari to discuss about our situation. Thank you very much, Kari, for all your inspirations and all these chances to collaborate with you and all your amazing motivating way to connect our new society with all the communities around Karl Polanyi and around your work. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brigitte.
All of you
Yeah.
for giving me so much support. It is very important. I could not have achieved anything in my life without the support of good friends and colleagues. So thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Dad.
Right?
Do you have we have taken nearly all the time
Yeah.
that we
Can
had.
I just say one?
So,
We have a message. We have a message. Can I?
okay, so,
I'll just share this with you. There's not on the screen with us, but there's also an institute in Seoul in South Korea. And it is now, I think 4 a.m. I'm not sure if young Kim is still with us. He was about an hour ago. I don't know if he's still awake. But he did want it, and they've sent something very lovely for you, Kari, which we'll play when we get into more festive celebrations. But they wanted to say, "Oh, Young, why don't you, instead of me, why don't you speak?" Okay.
Hello everyone. It's 4 a.m. in the morning here in Seoul, Korea. And I'm privileged to be here to join you, especially for celebrating the 100th birthday of Kari. Hello, Kari. This is Young. You remember?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, we spent quite a time together when you were in Seoul. And on behalf of friends here in Korea, of Kari, and of Karl Polanyi Institute, of the world, I'd like to say how grateful we are to Kari for her efforts to support our initiative of establishing Karl Polanyi Institute Asia, I believe, the first effort in Asian continent. So anyway, we made a very short video clip to congratulate and celebrate your birthday and your work, lifelong work. And it's not professionally done. So hopefully, I hope you don't laugh at it. All right. Okay. Again, thank you very much to you, and happy birthday to you too, Kari.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
You might just wish to know that the institute in Korea is unique. It's a cooperative. So it's a cooperative, you know, it has a membership of academics and non-academics, but it's an independent
Yes,
cooperative.
my greetings and best wishes to all the cooperatives internationally, in Korea and elsewhere.
Okay, thank you, Karen. Okay.
So thank you very much, all of you. I would say it's time to open the discussion.
Yeah.
To the floor here in the room, or also to everybody else who is participating online. So if you have questions, if you have remarks, if you want to congratulate in some way, please feel free to do that.
Question.
Yeah.
Mikey, come up close so she can hear you.
Do any of the Polanyi institutes have programs directed to young people?
You're interested. Is anybody going to answer? Because I have.
Yes, I could.
Yeah.
Maybe you could answer that.
Young wants to answer.
I think everybody wants to say something about that, at least from the different institutes. Who wants to start? Attila, yeah.
Yeah.
Please, short, but we are interested in your answer.
Yes. So during our existence, we started in 2014. We have been carrying out research with very young scholars at the PhD level or a little bit above. We had three such projects, out of which books and publications have emerged. So this is one thing, what we are doing. The second thing, which is kind of a Polanyian ideal type of education in the 21st century, we are closely collaborating with thoroughly democratic, you mean absolutely democratic, self-governing student bodies which teach and organize their own extra curriculum. So when we are organizing our regular conference on non-capitalist mixed economies, we are cooperating with one of the colleges and we are fully incorporating them into our work. And they are really great people to have that. Plus, very importantly, we organize a kind of a pre-review of young scholars, any kind of a book or PhD, which they would want to discuss with serious people in a non-formal scenario. And this is what we are also doing. But literally, this is one of the key things. And then in this respect, the inspiration of the whole Polanyi family in this respect is very dear to us. I'm telling to these students every time I meet that they have one very serious duty to maintain these structures in our authoritarian neoliberal order, otherwise we die. And then I hope that they understand when I am trying to ask them to continue their amazingly good work. Thank you.
Yes, if you would.
Yes, go ahead.
I would like to remind you that it is very important for young people to understand that Polanyi follows a tradition in socialism, which is best described as syndicalist. And I was very moved to hear that my mother, when she brought the Zimmerwald Declaration to Budapest and Vienna, was speaking to a meeting of shop stewards working in the biggest munition factory in the country, where the iron and coal came in the front door, and the guns and tanks went out the other front door as products.
Okay, I think that's the question is really important also from the point of view of the relation between the two Polanyis, because one common feature of both is that they were great educators. We have heard that this morning from all the students of Kari, but the same is true for Karl, that for all his life, he was teaching. He was teaching his own convictions. He was teaching what a more socialist world could look like and how to go there. Not in an abstract way, but in a way which really connects it to the reality where he lived. Okay, but I want to give also Brigitte the chance to say a few words, please, very short.
Yes, we have the same situation as described by Attila. We are mentoring young scholars in their academic careers, and we are looking for grants to make possible that they can do their PhD thesis. That's one thing. The other thing is that indeed, we have worked on an exhibition together with many of us. Claus is one of them. This exhibition, in the meantime, has reached out to the schools. It's really interesting that we find young people who are interested in Karl Polanyi. They never have heard about him, but they are interested in the pressing issues of our time and looking for solution. That's one thing. And the third thing I want to mention is that we are collaborating with social movements. And of course, there are a lot of social movements in Austria as well as in other countries in Europe of very young people who are interested in such a collaboration on political issues.
Sure. Yeah, I'll here, the Polanyi Institute at Concordia is not a teaching institute. It's not part of a department, but we have done a lot over the years with and for students in a variety of ways. All our conferences, the international conferences that we host, students are invited to present papers. We have students working with us on conference organization. When Kari was still coming to the university on a more regular basis, Chris Millett was here before he left. We had our youngest, no, Chris Green is here, but Chris Millett. Chris Millett was here with his 1-year-old, so we could have shown off that we have our youngest participant. But we have student researchers that we've been able to support through various funds. Mathieu Charbonneau, who's sitting at the back of the room, was a postdoc who was with us for 2 years, and he's been a wonderful, loyal, polite friend of the Institute, and always there to assist us and help us. I want to come back to the exhibition in a moment, but I think what this was an initiative by Concordia University, not by us, I received a call that they asked if I thought it would be a good idea. I checked with Kari if the university could create a Kari Polanyi Levitt fund. It is up and alive and it's a fund to support students who are either directly interested in her work or in the work of Karl Polanyi, or are wanting to come to the Institute, and by doing so are exposed to the ideas of Polanyi. We've had many seminars, and everything that we've done with students, we do really outside the classroom, but we've done this over the years. On the exhibition that Brigitte just mentioned, it's a wonderful exhibition, and there's a hard copy of it's the intellectual life of Karl Polanyi, but with extraordinary illustrations and paintings, and it's beautifully executed. And it was done by Claus, Brigitte, Andreas Novi, and others. We have been invited by the university, and she's not here this afternoon. Alexandra Mills, who works in the archives at the library. When you enter the Concordia library, you have to go up an escalator. Everyone has to go up this escalator. When you get to the top, there's a very large glass case, which is always available or not available. You have to apply. It's for exhibitions of different sorts. We were invited to do a Polanyi exhibition, which will be in this case from October until Christmas. So we will have 3 months, and we will then collaborate with our Austrian colleagues so that we have the Vienna exhibition hours. There will be photographs, there will be excerpts of writings and so on. And that's wonderful, but the great thing is that there'll be an interactive computer, so that when students come up and they like to play, as soon as they see something interactive, you get them to stop, and it will introduce them to the archive, to the Institute, where they can go. So this is a wonderful exposure to the entire university community. Concordia has faculties in engineering and science and so on. They will have exposure and be able to follow up if they are interested. So I think that, and I'm not, if people are wishing to, as a birthday present for Kari, and her life has been committed to teaching to young people. The fund in her name is a way in which to support students. And for those living in North America, Julia reminded me, tell everyone it's tax deductible. Yes, it is tax deductible. So there's the conferences, there are seminars, and a variety of ways in which we have. And Chris Millett is working on a very interesting bibliographic project on Polanyi, which I won't tell you about now, but stay tuned. That's us.
Okay, so we have 10 minutes maximum. So if anybody has the idea, if anybody has interest to ask questions concerning that debate or say some word to Kari, you have the chance now. Yeah.
Well,
Who's there?
I would like to speak.
Paco, okay.
Okay.
I have a question that I wrote in online. What should be the common priority of all these Kari-created institutions? Because I think that searching for a common synergy in today's world could be a way to add to the wonderful work that each of you is actually undertaking. And of course, I've already said happy birthday to Kari, and I wish her a very happy birthday.
The question.
The question is the synergy between the different institutes.
What could be done? What's the common priority? What's the common priority? What could be the common priority? We've been talking about youth. Is there something more than that? Is there something more
I
Okay,
think the priority today is to do everything in your power to create an international environment that will secure peace. I see it's a terrible danger of a destructive war developing out of this conflict in the Ukraine.
I'm highly involved in the peace process promotion in Ukraine. We have a platform here in Madrid, which uses different media to promote it. And I will send you the video, although it is in Spanish.
Thank you.
okay, I would say, if
I
you
have
have
a
some
word.
more questions concerning that, we will,
I have a word to say.
Yeah.
I'm Ken Kyriakos Matsiorinis from McGill, 3 years younger than Mario. I've never been a student of you, Kari, but I've been a student of Eric Kierans, who's done a lot of similar work in the same vein as you have, although not to the same breadth and depth as you and your family have done. All I'd like to say is to wish you a very happy birthday, to wish you life, strength, and intellect to continue the work you're doing. I've enjoyed the session today. It was my first contact with the Institute, thanks to Mario, who mentioned it to me, and I signed up late, but better late than never. And I wish, and you've made a great contribution. The Great Transformation, your dad's book, was my most beloved book when I was a student. And I'm having it here in front of me. I've read all of it. And I was very inspired, and I think it made a lot of sense. And here's The Silent Surrender, which I also read all of it. So you've been inspired me for many, many years. And now that I'm near retirement, I'm planning to do more of my own research and writing. And I'll be borrowing and much of what you've incited, and try to build on it for the future. Again, thank you to you. Thank to everybody for the wonderful session today.
thank you for your intervention. Is there somebody else? Because otherwise we have Attila.
Last word.
She has the last word too.
I would like to remind you that some time ago, after my mother died, when my mother died, responsibility for the communication of the Great Transformation and all the other work of my father passed to me. And I decided that the safest place to deposit the books of my father was Concordia Library. And I did make such a donation. Margie was present, and the librarian was present.
It's an extraordinary gift that you gave to Concordia University. I'm very grateful, and I know everyone.
But I retained the rights of publication. They have not gone to Concordia. They have remained with me. And from me, they go on to my successors. And we have created a foundation which will continue my work after my own passing, which is inevitable, especially once it got past the 100 years.
Okay.
So this is an institution which has been created that the personal possessions of Karl Polanyi go to Concordia Library, but the copyright laws go to this foundation. And this foundation can raise money. And with that money, employ young graduate students to continue research. Thank you.
We have a tiny 1-minute video that was just fun. We can just show it.
Okay, if
Yeah.
you are prepared.
Okay, we'll just show, this is delightful. This came from Korea this morning. I think we can end on a high note before we before we move on to a birthday cake and a toast to
I
Kari.
am thirsty, water, please.
Here.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Kari.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Kari. Happy birthday to you. 생신 축하드립니다.
Have a fantastic birthday.
That was just in time. Yeah.
Keep my thoughts speak.
Yeah, I didn't give it. Okay.
Okay, I think,
Well, those of us who are here, we will meet out there. Anna, outside? Yeah, okay. Right here? Okay. And for those of you online,
yeah, happy birthday, Kari, from all of us. And
Happy birthday
Happy
to you.
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
Cumpleaños feliz.
Boldog születésnapot.
can you all see it's got a big 100 on it?
Funny, isn't it?
So post-COVID, we're not allowed to blow out candles. Yeah. Anybody good at this? You're a big win. Oh, Kari. We're gonna slice the cake and there's a glass of bubbly. Everybody help yourself on the table at the back where you had your coffee.